Mhm.
All right. Let's move on into support services. Mark.
Thanks, Commissioner Trask. Looks like Jen's going to start us out with the HCC dues increase discussion.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
So we have the Hood Canal Coordinating Council dues increase, and it's going from 2,500 to 10,000 annually. And I just wanted to brief this because it was talked about during the 2023 budget discussions that this was a possibility, but it has happened. And so I wanted to ask that this be included in the first budget amendment in June.
When was the last time they increased their dues?
I'm not sure.
I was taken back by the size of it, but at the same time, we get our money out of them over the years when it comes to perk and stuff like that. Kevin, you still serve on that one, right?
Yeah, so we've actually, the coordinating council have been talking about this for about a year, and what this is essentially for is for things that aren't covered by grants that the coordinating council uses to fund most of their work. And so when we look at needing legal review or other administrative functions, those costs have all increased significantly, and the dues have remained the same at $2,500 a year for at least as long as I've been on there. So into my 7th year on the coordinating council now. So they've been fixed for probably about a decade or so. And so this is just, I think, the coordinating council catching up with reality on what their true costs are that can't be billed back to the state and federal grants that they receive. So I don't, and I also just want to say that this might not be ultimately where we land for annual dues. So we might come back next year with hopefully a lower dues amount. But this was necessary to kind of rebuild some of the internal accounts and things like that. And so this is where the coordinating council landed, and for 2023. So we'll keep working on that to see what other funding sources we have available to us. But just the cost of doing business at this point, I guess.
Well, you were in the room during all these discussions. Are you recommending it?
I am, yeah. I'm supportive of it, even though it is a significant jump. It's like I said, it's been probably about a decade since these have been addressed, and it is a bit of ripping the Band-Aid off.
Okay, I support.
Yeah, and that's why I asked that question of how long it's been. So I support it as well.
Great, thank you. So I'll ask that this be put on not tomorrow's agenda, but the next meeting date. And then I'll include it in the first budget amendment. Thank you. And then the other thing that I have is related to John Taylor's briefing on the Mendoza contract. I was going through and looking online at the agenda this morning, and I saw under the compliance section, item 2, it talks about leasehold excise tax, that the leasehold excise tax will be submitted to DOR directly, and it needs to come to the county. I spoke to John this morning and told him that I would bring that up this morning, and he'll talk about it a little bit in a second here. But I just wanted to point that out, that language should be changed, that the leasehold excise tax should come to the county or be submitted to the county, and then the county would remit the leasehold excise tax to Department of Revenue. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Mr. Taylor. RV covers. I think we started a trend, commissioners.
Unfortunately, I think we have. We haven't gone out and gotten an actual bid yet. I wanted to make sure that we brought it forward and the commission would want to look at the figures before we did it. But we have 3 remaining park hosts to put covers on, and they're approximately $19,580 a piece. So somewhere around there. But the one that we put out at Truman Glick would be the biggest of them. So it would probably be under the Truman Glick cover costs, but I wanted to make sure the commission wouldn't be adverse to looking at what those figures are and potentially approving those for the remaining 3 parks before
So
I
you're
go
saying
forward
they're
with the bid.
19 grand each?
Yes, well, they'll probably be less than that, sir, because it won't be as large as the one at Truman Glick. But yes, they're about $19,000 a piece.
That sounds about right with the cost of supplies, the increase with the supplies. Now, on that, do we need to go out? Do we have to submit an RFP or is it?
I believe we did for the first one, so we'll have to do it again. But I would like to include all 3 and see if we might get a better deal
Okay,
based
so
on going in volume as opposed to just one at a time.
right, so the rest of the 3 will be smaller than
That is what I understand talking to Bud, that the Truman Glick was the largest.
okay. Well, I know with everything else, all costs are going up, so.
I'm sorry if you mentioned it, John, and I missed it, but can you just say again where this would come out of?
Yeah, REIT 2.
REIT 2, okay.
Yes, REIT 2 capital improvements.
And any concerns about sort of the health of that fund? Mark or Jennifer?
So REIT 2 is a little different than REIT 1. REIT 2 is pretty restrictive on what we can use it for. So that is where the majority of our support for our utilities comes from. And then the remaining expenditures out of that, I believe, are mostly related to our parks department. And so it's pretty healthy. Jen, did you want to add to that?
No, just what Mark said. It's healthy at this point. So yes, thank you.
So have we considered or thought about having staff do it and put these on these? And it's not that hard. I'm looking at that's one of the things that got me. I'm looking at some of the prices on the actual kits itself. A 20 by 36 by 12, $3,500.
I think they'd have to be at least 14 feet tall just to park a trailer underneath them. But Kelly, are you on?
Would it be Kelly or would it be our parks folks? Because I know Kelly's folks are pretty darn busy.
I just didn't see anybody from parks that was on unless Diane could talk to that.
Well, and the issue that we have, sir, is that we didn't get all the summer hires that we expected. We only have 1. So we currently have all the additional work that we're doing and getting ready again. And the issue may be staffing, being able to put those covers up in a timely manner.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that, but even going back out and bringing in staff to pay off of REIT to do it. I'm just looking at some of the prices again. I have a hard time. I want these, but I have a hard time kicking in 20 grand a piece when I'm looking at the numbers. I just don't see it.
Well, and I could go out and get a bid without it and then get a timeline estimation on each project of how long it would take to get it done.
Okay.
And then what may need to be sacrificed depending on staffing levels at the point that we start installing them.
Do you know anything about those installations, Kelly?
I've never put one together. I've seen them. I mean, I would imagine they can't be that awful hard. With the height and stuff, we'd all have to have restraints and stuff like that be tied off. But I'd be more willing to, offer us a little bit of help. I'm running pretty thin with the new building 12 coming on, the sheriff's office potentially, but I can do what I can do for you.
I guess what I can do, commissioners, is get together with Kelly and Bud and figure out what we're looking at for staffing to put each cover up. And then the time frame that it'll take once we did order them to get the kits in, and how quickly, based on estimation of when we would be putting those covers up, where the time that it would take to get them done.
Yeah, we'd probably need to have even a lift to get us up and down once we do that. So there'd be a little expense there, but other than that, yeah.
Well, and I think they're put together on the ground, and the frames, they're lifted up by the frames. So all the roof and everything's put together, and then they go underneath the pipings, and that's how they're erected. But I don't know. It's been a long time since I had anything to do with one. But it wasn't that hard. It was extremely easy. That's the only reason why I'm not even 1/20th as qualified as any of the one single people you have working for you, Kelly.
We'll bring you on too.
Yeah.
So I will go ahead and have that put together for the next commissioner's briefing. And then we can look at where we want to go from there.
And John, maybe bring back both and let's see what the differential is.
Yes, sir. I want to make sure we estimate it right because I'm not sure timing. I'd like to get it done because the summer will be pretty busy, that we can get them done before fall. Any other questions on those, commissioners? The next piece that I have is we put out for bid the MCRA food service piece and received one contract, which was Mendoza. And that is the one that Jennifer was talking about that I need to correct, which I'm in the process of doing now. But they were the only one that applied. The contract's attached, and I'll make corrections to that. We'd like to put that on the next, not this one, but the following approval agenda.
I'm supportive.
I am as well.
Yep, sounds good.
And the last piece I have is the Foothills Dog Park is done. The grand opening for that is April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we'll have a little celebration out there so the community can visit the park, see the dog park that's done, and hopefully get them interested in using it. That's all I have.
So just for further information, just looking it up further, the 12-foot is on the legs, and that's the standard for the RV covers. But you can do a 14-foot on the legs, and you still have the peak for an additional 400, and that is on an 18 by 31, which is pretty good. So just wanted to get that out there.
All right, sir, great. I made a note of that, and I'll make sure we get some estimated measurements from the 3 we have remaining, so we're more accurate on what that estimation will be.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not at the moment.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
All right, Mary, you're up.
Thank you. So this morning I have a briefing for an extension on our professional services agreement with Cabot Dow Associates Incorporated. The county currently has some residual contracts from 2022 and then additional agreements that are opening in 2023. And we need to start the process and collect data as soon as possible. So we're getting our contracts done in a timely manner. We're also going to need some additional services as we move towards continuing down our paths of the 2 mediation contracts. And so we'd like to ask for an extension for another year through May 1 of 2024 and an additional $20,000 added to this professional services agreement.
I'm supportive.
Yep, I absolutely support. Great team. We're doing great working together.
As am I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. So just as under administrator updates, I just want to let the board know that I'm working with Jen and Kelly to put together kind of a summary of real estate excise tax 1. So the REIT 1, and that's where we fund the majority of our, I would say, general capital projects out of. So that's kind of our pool of money that we look towards for our capital improvements. So I've received some bids back on finishing building 10, which is our new district court facility. And I'm working through that with district court and our architect to try and reduce some of those costs. They came in over double what I was expecting, which was pretty scary. So having to really look forward and see how much money we have in REIT 1. And I'm going to list out some projects that I believe are on my priority list and would like some help from the board on what you believe to be your priorities. So I will be bringing that forward next week so that we can weed through those things and just give you kind of a perspective of where we're at and what we have to look forward to.
Appreciate you doing that.
The other thing that I'm working with the directors on of your departments is that kind of creating calendar of events. So we have milestones that we want to reach throughout 2023 and giving the commissioners kind of an idea of what to expect as the calendar continues throughout the rest of this year in terms of projects that we have going on or specific updates. I know in Kell over in planning and development has some significant updates to our comprehensive plan that we're going to be starting in 23. So we're going to put together a calendar of things for you guys to expect. I think what that'll help us do is, number one, keep the commission kind of on board with where we're at with our projects. And then as we run into things, which we normally do, it'll help us identify impacts that those may have downstream. So as we continue through our projects and try and get this stuff done, then as things come up, you guys will be aware of the potential impacts to other projects that might be in play. So hopefully we can get that moved forward here pretty soon.
Sounds good.
That's all I had for you.
All right, commissioners, anything for Mark or anyone else? Any commissioner discussion?
Not for me.
I just got something to ask on that. Mark had reached out to ask me if I could do the 5th for the canvassing. I just had an opportunity that I would love to take advantage of. Is there any possibility that you could do it, Kevin?
Yeah, so the 4th and 5th, Kevin, just to give you a little bit of background. The 4th and 5th, I'll be in Spokane for Public Works Board working retreat. Not really a retreat, but anyway, it's in Spokane, and I will not be here the 4th or the 5th of May.
May 4th and 5th, yeah, both of those days work for me. So I can get with Mark and Susan and get those on my calendar.
Thank you. That allows me to do something with my daughter's birthday. That became a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I appreciate it as well. It would be a little difficult to do in the over in Spokane, so appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it.
Just to confirm for the public, that'll be the certification of the April election with the auditor's office.
Right, thank you. And that was actually on my list to talk about, so that works. All right, anything else for Mark or support services? All right, let's move on to community development. Kell.
Good morning. Happy Monday. I've got 2 items. The first one is Planning Advisory Commission. So we had a vacancy. Someone had to step down, and we've gotten 2 applications in. So I was able to get Mike Hill from District 3 in your packet, and then I understand that Mackenzie was able to get Brad Carlberg from District 2 into your packet this morning. So those are 2 folks that I have not met and am not familiar with. So I do recommend, unless the board is familiar with these folks, to set up interviews.
And how many positions do we have open?
We have 1 position open, and it's, we have several people from District 1. So it could be either District 3 or 2.
Well, interesting enough, we hardly, and I don't know I don't know them. That's not my issue. But when I see a hood support, those are valuable and hard to come by. I'm just saying, in all the years I've been here, it's been like that. Before I got here, it's been like that all the way. When I see that, I'd be curious to hear what Kevin thinks. Do you know the person? Have you ever thought?
I don't know. I don't know Brad. I would certainly be interested in having him come through for an interview just to get to know him a little bit more. But you're right. I mean, it's just always super hard to recruit from that area in general, and so this is kind of exciting to have somebody stepping forward with the kind of background Brad seems to have. So I'd be up for an interview of both of them, but it is true. It's tough to get people from Hoodsport interested. So,
and I almost don't want to be rude to somebody else because that's why I'm just being so straight and honest up front about this, because they may be coming with me already almost predetermined. If this person that comes in and they're qualified, I'm going to want to snag them, not because they're better than the other person. This is just one of those unicorn opportunities we don't get very often.
mm-hmm.
So what if we interview Brad first? And then if we need to interview the second applicant, then we can do that. Would that work?
I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Is that an issue, Kell?
Nope, that's fine.
All right, so interview Brad, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect.
Okay, and then the second item is just the monthly reports. Mark and I are still going to tweak on kind of the presentation or what these look like, but I do have the average days to issuance. And in the packet, like if you receive the electronic version, you could go back from, I think, back to this one was back to 2022. So you can see that we were progressively getting better. Now there's two things. One is our permit volumes are down a bit, but we are also becoming more efficient with our workflow. So and as we continue to learn SmartGov and its tools better, such as the stop clock item, I think we'll even see a better turnaround times. So, there's legislation at the state right now about permit turnaround times, and our team feels pretty confident we're going to continue to be able to meet those. And then we have the just the permit volumes. So both permits that are issued and permits that are coming in, applications coming in and permits that are getting issued. And those go back to the 2019 timeframe.
I have a couple questions, but I need to step out of my office real quick. So keep the conversation going.
That's very cool. So, and I was thinking about that legislation. If we can, even if it doesn't go through, because this week is D-Day, I guess. So if that legislation, even if it doesn't go through, maybe we can set that as our goal. And because it's like it takes 3 years for legislation to go through. So if we just work on that, then we're ahead of the game, right?
Yeah, and if it does go through, it looks like it has a good possibility of getting passed. It has a effective date of 2024. And so I've been meeting with my leads. Last week we determined, okay, we're setting goals internally for the things that we need to get through in SmartGov as far as learning those tools, and then implementing more permits available online. So we have set some goals. We're going to tweak, continue to work on that, and then we'll be ready for that legislation if it passes.
Very cool. All right. Anything else, Kell?
Nope.
All right. Do we have anything for Kell or for planning?
Yeah, just back on the permitting. So, this is really interesting looking at I'm looking at the single family residences. So we have top of the list, we have 12 days to issue. What goes into, is that somebody that's just on the applicant side, just like completely prepared and has everything ready for review, that is that a stock plan? Is that what makes something 12 days versus, going down a few lines, 91?
Yeah, so I think we talked a little bit about this a couple briefings ago, but so in the back, when I say in the back, that's the building department. So we have building inspectors and plans examiners, and we have two folks that just stay in and do plans examining, commercial and then the odd projects. And then all the other inspectors are out in the field, but they're also getting trained up on doing plan review. And so some of the things that you'll see was a quick turnaround is someone may have come back in from the field. They have time. They don't typically, it's not their main job to do plan review, but they'll grab things from the drawer and things that are complete that, Josh Luck, our lead on that side, he kind of tracks on, ones that it might be a stock plan. Sometimes the manufactured homes are much quicker review. And so it's just like, here's some easier ones for the inspectors who have less experience doing the plan review. So some folks are benefiting by that. But we're trying to keep it as the time in, time out, as far as the plan review goes. And you're right, some of those when you see the long turnaround times, those are typically for having to hold and wait for the applicant to get additional information back to us.
Okay.
That's what the stopwatch will help us with, correct, Kell?
Yeah. There's a tool, stop clock. So whether it's in planning, environmental health, or building, someone could put the stop clock on. If the next, if another plan reviewer, and then let's say environmental health puts a stop clock on, they get their issue resolved, they can release it. But if they see there's another deficiency from another department, they could keep it on. So that's one of the things we're going to be discussing at our June all staff meeting up at Public Works. We are meeting with environmental health in addition to building and planning, and we're going to be discussing these things so that everyone's aware of what we're doing, and we have our process in place. And so we think that that'll really help with our efficiencies and accurately reflecting our turnaround times.
And then, I guess just a question about maybe how you're triaging some of this. So the example that you used where you have somebody who was out in the field that has the experience and the skill set to be able to come back in and do plan review, how are you sort of triaging, in those additional moments where you have the ability to review, and maybe even just generally, how are you, how do these things get kind of pulled off the shelf and then reviewed? Are you clearing out kind of the low hanging fruit first, and then, a little bit extra time on the ones that need a little bit more maybe communication with the applicant, or just kind of maybe walk me through some of the triaging that you all are doing?
So that's a great detailed question. And I think if I answered it, I'd probably be making it up, because I just, I let Todd and Josh, the two leads back in building, kind of run that whole program. So I know generally like that's what's happening. They're training the inspectors that would normally just do inspections to do some of this plan review, but I don't have the details on how that's, those detailed answers. So I would like to, the following month, bring either Todd or Josh with me onto the briefing, and then they can kind of get into those questions. So please
I think it would be
remember that.
I think that's great. I think it'd be really helpful to, just for our own knowledge and just sort of understanding how the process works, behind the scenes, and what they're thinking about when they are doing the plan review would be great. Not just even from a, how do we move the dial on length of time to issuance, but just sort of understanding what the process is even more. So I think that'd be really helpful. And then I guess the only other question that I have for right now is on one of the things that we need to really kind of start thinking about, probably big picture when it comes to maybe larger scale commercial development and permitting, is that interface between BCD and Public Works on permit review. And so, I don't want to put Loretta on the spot today necessarily, but as you're looking for future discussion topics from the permitting perspective, having Todd and Josh come in and present to us, I think one of the other things that we also need to be talking about is how the departments interact with each other, where there's additional review needed, whether it's for a grading permit or stormwater or any of those other things. And so being able to maybe troubleshoot and strategize around what we do to increase or improve, that coordination between departments. And I think that's kind of another area of focus, especially as we see more complex or more urban type development throughout the county.
Yeah, we do, there are, the Economic Development Council is, they pick up the phone and contact me to see about, certain projects going on. And so if we're continued to be looked at as a place to develop, we are going to see more commercial development down the road, commercial and industrial type stuff. So.
Great.
So Kell, I've been, this probably isn't in your barn here, but part of it may be, so that's why I'm going to say it. I get calls all the time, different things. This one here, I've gotten a call in the past where they had a lot of issues in their yard, cars and the like. And then I have oil apparently coming out of the garage in large amounts onto the ground and into the neighbor's yard. But they also claim that last fall they moved 30 cars back into a wetland. At that point, the 30 cars in a wetland, I think that may become a you thing, because it can't have wrecking yard without it. So that's why I brought it up to you. Who should I be talking to? Both you and Health on this?
Yeah. And so, Jamie Martin is our planning code enforcement, and there are a couple of folks in environmental health that Ian has doing environmental health, and there's solid waste, sanitary waste, the Hulk vehicles, and so our departments coordinate really well together. We're also trying to fold in the building code enforcement because we're lacking a little bit there, but Jamie and the building department have been coordinating, and so and you're right, the cars and wetlands together would be a joint planning and environmental health issue.
Yeah, I'll send this over to you, and it'll have an address on there for you.
Okay, great.
Can you CC me on that too, please, Randy?
I sure can.
Thank you, sir.
After I do that, I don't have Ian's. Will you send it over to Ian?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, commissioners, anything else for Kell? All right. Thank you, Kell.
Yep, thank you.
Just to add on to that a little bit, Randy, I've been talking with Dave, and Dave is actually on vacation today. Actually probably traveling home today from Montana. But he's working on that also. And so trying to coordinate not only with properties that are within the county, but also with the city. So we've been talking with the city of Shelton about how can we coordinate some of those efforts and really address some of the issues that we see out there, holding them accountable to the code that we have, and what tools do we have in place to do that. So,
well, this is one of the hard ones on that, because apparently, according to this, health department itself has been out there many times, but they're usually comfortable as long as something's being done. They give them a scrap metal receipt, and that's good enough. But it just goes on for years. So hopefully, we start finding a way to rectify some of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it has been sent.
Great. All right. Thank you. And I know that's an issue across the county and in the city. So be good to get that worked on for sure. All right, let's move on to public health. And since Dave's on vacation, I bet it's Melissa.
Morning, commissioners.
Morning.
We just have one item for community health this morning. It's a contract amendment for the Crossroads Housing Eviction Rent Assistance Program, ERAP 2.0. The Department of Commerce had allocated additional funding to this program, I think to other counties as well. And this particular program, it's intended to prevent evictions and prevent individuals and families from becoming homeless by paying past due, current due, and even future rent if they meet specific eligibility criteria. So I think it's about $165,000 additional to Crossroads, which could help a lot more people. I think with the temporary rent assistance program from last year, they were able to prevent about 1,400 evictions by paying rent. So we are just asking to move this amendment to the April 25th action agenda for approval.
I'm supportive, but I have a question offline later of what percentage of it goes directly to their units. But that's an offline question. You
Okay.
don't have to have that for me today.
Okay.
I'm supportive of moving this forward.
I am as well.
Yeah, I am as well. I think there's a site on Commerce where you can go and you can take a look at where the majority of the, where amounts are going as far as administrative or, to the clients or whatever. So I thought that was a very interesting bit of information. So I'm sure you got access to that, but I thought it was just very interesting. Just a side note.
Any other questions?
Nope. Do we have anything else for Melissa or for health?
No.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, let's move on to Public Works. Loretta.
Happy Monday. We have just one item as well this morning, commissioners, and Richard has a ton of paperwork. Lots of paper processing.
Yes, yeah. So here's our one thing. We need a backup person for signatory authority for all of our permits. And that would be 4 wastewater permits, 2 at Russellwood, and then 3 biosolids permits, as well as 4 electronic signature agreement forms, because we have to do this online as well. And that's it. I'm not right now. I'm it. And if something happens to me, we'll be in violation. So thought it'd be a good idea to have a backup.
Well, we don't want anything to happen to you, or do we want to get in trouble with the college? So.
Yeah, we don't want to be violated.
double win.
Right, we don't want anything to happen to you, nor do we want to get in trouble. So supporting.
But still, you never know. So got to be prepared.
Always.
For sure. Good with me.
All right. Yeah. Well, that was easy. All right. Anything else for us?
I think that's about it, commissioners. As Mark mentioned earlier, we have our milestones. We need to figure out a wonderful way to present them in a meaningful way for you, commissioners. And so we're getting that together and look forward to sharing what we've been up to for the first quarter and how the rest of the year is looking. So we've got that underway. A quick shout out to Mary and her team. We've been working on getting an ad out for a summer intern. So very excited to get that rolling and look forward to bringing a summer intern on board or 2. So thank you to Mary and her team on that. And let's see what other fun things. Commissioner Schutte, yes, absolutely. Look forward to digging in more on permits and stormwater reviews on commercial. I can tell you that I really appreciate Trish and other folks from Kell's team contacting us and giving us a heads up on projects that are of particular importance to keep moving. So there's good informal communication about, we're ready to issue on this, and Public Works, we need this out. So it's probably not the best method of keeping things rolling, but it's a good triage approach at this point, and our intent is not to be the hang up. So we will continue to keep improving. And on that note, also Cobry, who has been our key SmartGov person, is back. So we're excited on that front. And she's been busy. So happy to have her back.
Loretta, do we have any apprenticeship programs? I just bumped into a guy who impressed the heck out of me, and he's proud to be an apprentice. He's proud to move forward. He's hungry. And that just makes me think and wonder, what we're doing in that area still. I know we talked about it over the years. And
For which particular field, Commissioner?
Any of them in Public Works?
Okay,
What do we do? I guess my question, what do we have for apprenticeships, opportunities?
we do not at this point. Our internship is it.
Okay.
Yeah, but how about we have a chat?
I'd love that.
All right, perfect.
Loretta, just to add an additional question to that for you. Sometimes we have summer help that come in and assist during our construction period.
Yes.
And those individuals that express an interest and express show that they have the work ethic that's necessary to do those jobs, that I think could be considered kind of not an internship, but maybe an apprenticeship. You're coming in, you're getting to work with the crews, we're getting to be exposed to you and your work styles. And if individuals express an interest in that, I think that they are given opportunities, if available, to move into those fields.
Or to become an actual apprentice. That would be wonderful. If you got a chance to work with them, see what they do, and then offer them an apprenticeship, that is a win-win-win all the way around for the county.
Yeah, so we are currently advertising for our summer help for road operations. So if the person is in that area or of that field of interest, Commissioner, definitely point them to those open apps right now.
Yeah, the only problem with that is most likely anybody that, no, I was gonna say that. I was gonna get us all in trouble. Most likely the very best are already working at one point or another, either in an apprenticeship. And so to take them for a temporary and get them out of a program to get the best is gonna be not realistic.
Yeah.
But you get lucky, you get some of the others, you farm them, and then you find these diamonds, and then you cultivate them all the way up through the ranks.
Yes.
So I want to remind you, for the rest of us, although Loretta is very qualified and everything, she worked her way up through the ranks here at Mason County. Came in that I remember for stormwater, I think is what brought you in the beginning, and here you are running the whole doggone thing of Public Works. Am I mistaken about that? That's what you were brought in, right? As temporary for stormwater.
Stormwater, yep. As a project employee, yeah.
As under a grant that we had that, and she turned that into a lifelong career and the director of our Public Works. Pretty impressive.
We've got a lot of impressive self-starters here in the county, so it's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And happy to lend a hand and help others with that.
I do got to tell you guys a funny story, because I actually asked Loretta once. I said, did you ever think when you first started, this is where you were going to end up? She's like, yes.
Yes.
Caught me off guard on that one. She knew from the very beginning, this is what she I don't know if she had it planned. We didn't get that far. I was too much shocked when I found out that, yes, it was what she was thinking when she first started.
It was all that training, playing with Legos as a kid, and Tonka trucks and dirt and water.
Thank you, Loretta.
Maybe the occasional Barbie doll.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right.
All right. Anything for Loretta, commissioners?
Yeah, I wanted to come back to the conversation about sort of calendaring out our projects and milestones, and I think the one thing, I mean, you guys are really good, I think, on the road side, about having a roadmap, having things sort of planned out, and when things kick off and where the projects are and everything. I think the one thing that I have the most anxiety about right now is an item that we kind of punted on last year, which was our rate conversation with the utilities. And so I know that you're working on that, but I don't want us to get too far into the year. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but we're already, I think, all starting to look ahead to preliminary budgets, and the summer will be here before we know it, and just don't want to set us up for being in the fall and having a similar scenario where we haven't made any noticeable progress on sort of rate strategy, rate analysis, so just don't want to put that out there. I think that's one of the things that's top of my mind in terms of some concerns and just wanting to see kind of where we ultimately end up with that discussion and decision making.
I agree. We're able to do it pieces also. So we're open to you bringing us pieces at a time as you're getting it in. But as the commissioner just mentioned, it's one of the top things on my mind. I get calls all the time. I do, especially because I have the sewers up in my district, being able to justify this, and I think I do a pretty good job. But I'd rather be very well educated on it. And then eventually I'd love to see us take it to them and educate them on it. You and I have talked in the past about getting a meeting in Lakeland Village. We haven't gotten there yet, and we should. I need you to get some together, but I guess you can't until you have the numbers to be able to explain it anyway. So it's all connected, and I would rather do it sooner rather than later, as Commissioner Schuh just mentioned.
Yeah.
But we did a great thing with our commission. We did pass something that creates parameters on both ends. And that's pretty impressive. I don't want to undersell what just happened there. That was a protective mechanism for everybody while still allowing us to do the things we need to do. So.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Commissioner.
no, go for it. I was just agreeing with Commissioner Netherland.
Yeah. So rates are foremost on our minds as well. And with our assistance from Teresa Johnson and her team, we've got a great head start on the rate analysis, and we've got a couple of loose ends to tie up on that and bring back before commissioners. Richard and I were also discussing a look ahead at when our various communities have their upcoming community meetings, so we can get out and have some preliminary conversations with them as well, and share with them basically our financials and take a look at what the projects, what our ongoing maintenance needs are, what are some of the upcoming capital projects that we have on the books, and get some feedback on service, level of service, and answer any questions that the community may have. So we'll get that roadmap to you, commissioners, and move ahead.
Great. And I just want to add, Commissioner Netherland's point about, educating the public on the why and the how behind it is really important. And I would say that even probably begins with and includes our legislators, because I think the rate structure for Lakeland in particular was a barrier to having a meaningful project conversation with them for the utility projects that we put forward for the session this year. And I think there's this understanding in the community that the rates are X amount per connection every month, and we should be flush with cash. And really the antidote to charging more, at least from a percentage of the capital needs, really comes down to having the support from the state on doing some of these projects. So you think about Beards and Lynch Cove with the AC pipe replacement that we went out for, that the money for that pays dividends in terms of what you don't have to put on the ratepayers in a community like that. And the same goes for the general sewer plant update that we had asked for North Bay. We have to pay for that somehow. And when you're in an enterprise fund and a utility, that has to come out of the utility in most cases. That's the most logical landing point. And so, I think being able to even educate our legislative delegation about the steps that we've taken to kind of mitigate some of the increases that we were seeing because of CPI, but also how that dovetails with a legislative strategy that helps bring capital budget and public works funding into these projects is super critical, because I hope and anticipate that when we head into the short session in 24, that we're teeing those projects up again that didn't make the cut in this year's capital budget. So it all starts with that education piece. So I appreciate Commissioner Netherland mentioning that.
We've actually, I've always been both an advocate and an adversary through a lot of these things, especially from the beginning, starting so far back. But what's funny, in the 11 years that we've been here, we've actually done exceptionally well overall, and I can prove it. I follow all the different people around us. I look at the different rates. I do all these different things that probably way over my head, but at the same time, that's just what we do. Yeah, I'm watching one after another have to do extreme changes in their structures in order to survive all the things they had done in the past. We talked about in Belfair, one of the reasons why I was so agreeable about moving forward with doing an increase in Belfair is because all the other ones that were so far behind us that we were paying more than twice as much and getting less gallons, all have not only caught up with us, they're starting to surpass us on pricing and on their charges. Here we are, we're starting to get behind some of those in a good way, and we are not in a position where we're falling apart. We've done very well here at this county, so the community may not know it yet. What's the old expression? You only know you're in chains when you try to move. They don't know that they're not in trouble, that we've done well, because they don't feel the things that you might feel in Bremerton or even Shelton or whatever. They're all having to make these huge adjustments. We've done very well. So continuing to be in front of it is wise. And also that also gives a little memory of Commissioner Schutte warning us of that during our process when we were talking about either not doing an increase this year or making it a smaller increase. It is because of that kind of thinking is how we don't get in the positions these other cities and counties have been in. So he's correct to have all those feelings when he was having them. And I think we came up with a good, happy medium. But I just want to let you know that all the work I still do looking at it, we're in really good shape compared to what's happening all around us on almost all the cities. They're all feeling a different kind of heat than we are. So we have some compliments all the way around for the commission and all the employees and the managers that are doing this structure. So
I think the one thing that we do very well is we try to get to emergencies before they're an emergency. So preventive actions are huge. I see at the Public Works Board all the time, people coming in for emergency loans because their pipes are failing, and all of our systems are all getting old. And so I appreciate the work that you guys do by trying to keep ahead of some of these issues that might pop up.
Yeah, and that's a huge hats off to Richard. And of course, his team for sharing what they're seeing firsthand in the field and then translating that to our short-term big maintenance projects and longer-term capital. And of course, commissioners, I've said briefing after briefing, your support has been hugely important because a lot of these big projects have not moved forward in prior years. And you have clearly stated that this is a priority, and that helps enable and get us rolling to make sure that we're improving. And yeah, no, we don't like the idea of what's happening tonight or this weekend at all, and absolutely want to provide the best service to our customers and certainly be in compliance with our regulators. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely on that one. And I do really like the idea of having more community meetings where it's a conversation where we're talking about like what's happening, the cities, annexing. And so we're getting a lot of questions on annexing and, is that are they going to come and take my property and things like that. So there's a lot of misconceptions that I would love to have some meetings so that people understand what can and can't be done and what it means. And so Mark, if we could maybe look at having more or having some community meetings, I think that would be awesome. Just educational meetings.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great idea. I think more importantly, when we're talking about creating these calendars and communicating with the board about what's going on here in the county from an operational perspective, I think even more importantly than keeping you guys updated, it's an opportunity for us to really celebrate some of the wins that we have and all the work that does get accomplished. So we tend to use these meetings as to address those issues that come up that we need to discuss and make decisions on right away. I'd love to see us have an opportunity to recognize some of the things that are getting done and how quickly and quietly they get done. And we're still providing those great services to our constituents. And it's a good opportunity to celebrate those wins also. So it's not a tool to keep me in line per se, to make sure that we continue to move forward, as much as it's a tool to really communicate publicly with the things that we were able to get accomplished.
Right, accomplishments along with our partners too. So other stakeholders. The PUDs are doing amazing things and in partnership with us, because we were able to use funds to help them move forward too. So I think those are all accomplishments that typically don't get noticed.
Remind them of that, Mark.
Absolutely.
Writing notes right here,
Yeah.
right now.
All right, Commissioner.
Loretta's working with our one of our local PUDs now, and in terms of extending services into different areas. And so it's a good opportunity to remind people, especially in our partnership organizations, about the support that we have for each other and how we work together to get these things done. So making sure that we keep that in our foresight, and we don't look at it internally as how do we protect ourselves or how do we make this the best opportunity for ourselves, but how do we work together and accomplish things as we move forward. I think that those discussions definitely need to continue to happen.
Yeah.
One last thing, Loretta, when can I expect vouchers for solid waste?
I believe they've been distributed. Yes.
I haven't gotten any.
You haven't got your personal stash?
No. I've got people waiting for them so we can get them.
Oh.
How many do you need, Commissioner?
I actually give out quite a few. We end up getting some, and I borrow some from the other commissioners, and we get other ones that we can. So whatever she provides, we try to find homes for.
Yeah.
So those actually come out of our public health department. So I can work with them to get some of those vouchers to you.
Richard
isn't that
unmuted
correct?
there. Did you have anything to add, Richard? Or did Mark cover it?
However many you want, we can get them to you.
Okay. I'll get a hold of you offline, and we'll make arrangements for that.
Okay.
I think all three of us appreciate having them, because we all get contacted. So
yes,
absolutely, it's a great service for sure.
It is. All right, commissioners, anything else for Loretta or Public Works? No. As always, thank them. Thank everyone for doing such an amazing job out there.
We will.
All right, commissioners, that brings us to the end of our agenda for today. Do we have any items to discuss?
Just a heads up for the commission. I let my boss Diane know already, but I'm going to be away for a wedding on the 24th and 5th.
She let us know already a while back.
Excellent. We can always count on Diane.
Yes,
it's great. It's great.
And she's all of our bosses. We all count out to her.
It's great. She's committed to doing another 5 years.
Yep. I'm down for that. I don't know what's going to happen when she does it.
It's probably a good thing that she has her camera off.
Oh, it's okay. She'll let me know.
That's right. We love you, Diane.
Yes, we do.
All right, commissioners, if we have nothing else.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
All right, we're adjourned until tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And after that, we will have our finance committee meeting.
Perfect.